All right, welcome to the Scarlet Faithful Podcast. I'm Aaron Brightman, coming to you rather late on Saturday night, November 18th, about 2.5 hours after Rutgers defeated Howard, going away 85-63. Had a busy night, but wanted to cover the win and just kind of give a kind of synopsis of where they're at after 5 games now. Rutgers on a 9-day break going through Thanksgiving week. We'll be back Monday, uh, the 27th of November against St. Peter's. And this was a big week. This was a big week the last 7 days. Obviously, they lost to Princeton in the opener. It was a frustrating performance. It was a disjointed performance. And looking back on it, as kind of rough as they played, they were still in that game till the very end. And I actually think we're going to look back on that as a little bit impressive because Princeton is good. They're 4-0 now. They wiped the floor with Monmouth, and today they won a tough road game at Duquesne. Duquesne's not a bad mid major at all. They won at Hofstra, which is a good mid major. So Princeton has looked really good, and Rutgers on last Sunday earned that 9-point win over Bryant. It was close. We knew that Bryant, was a dangerous mid-major team, and they proved it big time on Saturday night, winning at number 10 Florida Atlantic in Boca Raton, quite comfortably, by the way. I think it was 8 or 9 points in one of the biggest upsets of the season. Florida Atlantic made the Final Four last year. They have everyone returning. You have to give credit to Jimmy Martelli Jr., Phil Martelli Jr., who took over for Jared Grasso, who resigned this week. And that's just a monster win. Bryant was in the 200s. KenPom, they're now about 213, I think. So that's going to potentially be, a pretty solid win for Rutgers on their resume. I don't know what the quad's going to come to, but, that kind of win is certainly notable. And just, the losses that other teams have had this year, which we can kind of talk about at the end. But just in terms of Rutgers tonight, they were challenged at times. Howard's a 22 win team from last season, won the NCAA tournament last year, have a few new faces, including Seth Towns, former Ivy League Player of the Year, played at Ohio State a few years. He's, been injured quite a bit. This is his 8th year. It's pretty wild to see him going head to head with Gavin Griffiths, a true freshman. But Gavin, had some moments offensively and defensively tonight. This team is just, they're getting better. They're getting better. And, they were down 14-8 early. Rutgers responded with a 19-2 run. Then it was 49-45 with about 13 minutes to go. And Rutgers really took off from there. And it's really all been about guard play. Specifically tonight, Derek Simpson had his by far best game of the season. He's really blossoming. And he had a terrible first game, and he's learned from it quite a bit. And you could just see each game his confidence building, his maturity, his ability to kind of find his way within the offense. And I think learning how to play in the new style for Steve Peichel, who, it's wild to hear him in the press conference talk about this is an 80-point team. This team should average 80 points a game. I really had doubts. I was worried that Peichel would have trouble once the season got going. Um, Obviously, the defense has been pretty good. They haven't played any great offensive teams yet, but they're 18th now in defensive efficiency nationally in KenPom. But I thought he'd get twitchy with the half court and all that. But he is, give him credit. I mean, he is continuing to harp on the fact that this team needs to push the pace, and it's very clear that they're better in transition than the half court. They're built for transition. Tonight they had was a 27-14 edge in fast break points, but when they really were able to kind of fly and just kind of blow Howard out of the water, it was in transition. It was forcing steals. It was running off of rebounds. It was just their ability to suffocate their opponent, get them on their heels. They forced 21 turnovers tonight. They had a 23-8 edge in points off a turnover. So again, going back to the guards, Derek Simpson was fantastic. He was 7 of 10. from the floor, 7 of 9 from the free throw line. He led Rutgers with 4 assists. Um, he did a lot. Noah Fernandes, I thought, gave him another spark again. He was 4 of 8 from the floor, 2 of 5 from three at 12 points, 3 assists, 5 steals. He was just great with ball pressure. Jermichael Davis has been great with ball pressure. He had a steal tonight. He didn't do a lot offensively, but he had 4 assists. They had one, two, three. They had 6 players with at least 2 assists tonight, 4 with at least 3. It's a really good sign. Simpson and Davis had 4 assists. Fernandez and Griffiths had 3, and then Cliff and Andre had 2. So they're sharing the basketball, but it really starts with those 2 guards. I think they dictate the offense, they dictate the pace. They're able to hit threes. They're able to create offense off the dribble. They're able to score in transition. They're good decision makers. They really Fernandez and Simpson give Rutgers a dynamic offensively that they haven't had in a while. And just, in terms of their ball pressure, Rutgers in the past, even with Cam Spencer, Mulcahy, Caleb, it was much more about, length and jumping in the passing lanes, anticipation. These guys are just suffocating the ball handlers and they're overwhelming them. And will that continue in Big Ten play? Obviously, size is a bit of a concern, maybe not concern, but I think a question in terms of can they be as effective with steals in Big Ten play when they're facing some bigger backcourts? They're going to face some smaller guys too. Tyson Walker of Michigan State obviously is a smaller guy. Boo Buie isn't particularly huge, but there's bigger backcourts also. But I think that this team is different, and they're starting to gel and they're starting to figure out how to play together. They've missed Austin Williams the last 2 games. They're going to need him for, I think, particularly defense with wings, and just giving them a bigger guard who can attack the basket and get to the foul line. But with J. Mike coming off the bench, along with Fernandez and Simpson, I mean, they have speed, they have ball pressure, and they have guys that can create off the dribble. And I thought, there were some passes tonight, like Simpson on the break had no reason. Like he could have gone to the rim himself, and he found the trailer in Oscar Palmquist cutting down the middle with 2 guys defending the rim, and Oscar finished and with the and one, and Derek made a tremendous pass. And I haven't said much about Oscar yet, but I have to say he's better. He is better. He gave them real minutes tonight. And he has this year at times. He's had some silent games, but he had 7 points, 3 of 4 from the floor. He had 2 rebounds and a block, but he ran the floor really well. Just in terms of, he Davis found him on a cutter in the half court, and he was able to finish a tough shot. He's playing smart basketball. He's a high IQ guy, and he's much more in control. I mean, he started to be towards the end of last year when he got some reps, but he doesn't really force bad shots. He doesn't, he's not particularly strong with the ball, so that's a little bit of a concern in Big Ten play. He's not a great defender. He's not the most athletic, but he's smart and he shares the basketball and he can shoot. So I think what they're getting out of him is a plus. But if you look at the plus minus tonight, just going there specifically, Noah was plus 26. That's pretty phenomenal. Cliff is plus 23. Gavin was plus 22. He had 7 points, 3-8 shooting, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, steal, a block. Did a little bit of everything and 0 turnovers. He's playing his role. He's not a full-fledged starter, but he's giving them some scoring punch off the bench. He's showing his athleticism. He can score inside and out. He gives them a different element too. I think Cliff, he had a big game he did everything at 15 points, 14 rebounds, 4 blocks, 2 steals, 2 assists. Did have a few turnovers, but he is kind of letting the game come to him a little bit more. He, was dominant in the paint, as was Rutgers. 48 points in the paint to, 14? By the way, they were 11 of 18 on layups tonight. Not great, but not terrible. They're getting a little bit better there. It was 48 to 20 in the paint. They were just +2 on the board, so that is a concern. The rebounding has not been great, and their wings and guards haven't rebounded great. But that leads us to another point, Mawat Mag. They're off now for 9 days. He has not played yet. He was suited up tonight. He warmed up. I think he's really close. I've said for a while, I thought, after Thanksgiving, and I think there's a good chance he'll be back very soon in game action. So that's going to add a lot for them. That's going to add some rebounding. That's going to add them defending. That's going to add athleticism. Another guy who can elevate and score in transition. I don't know, how effective he's going to be in terms of his shot early on. There's going to be some considerable rust, but if he could just give them energy, defense, rebounding, um, that's going to be a lot, um, and work his way back in. I thought Andre Hyatt, he didn't have a great game tonight, but he's showing some maturity too because he's not forcing things like he did in the past. He took 11 shots. He led them actually in shots. But he's 5'11", 12 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. He's able to do a little bit of everything for them now, and he's showing real leadership. And I think that that's huge. He had a concerning opening night against Princeton, and he's bounced back really well. So everyone has contributed. Everyone's, I think, made some strides since opening day. But I think it really is all about the guard play. Now, in terms of being knockdown shooters, they've struggled at three a little bit. In terms of how they're doing for the season, they're not going to be the best 3-point shooting team there is, but their ability to share the basketball is important. They're very willing to do that, and they're getting good looks. In terms of threes, let's see how they are for the year. Derek is 3 of 6, 50%. Needs to take more, and then Andre and Gavin have taken a ton. Gavin's just 6 of 25 for 24%. Andre's 9 of 26 for 34.5. J Mike is 1 of 6. Noah's 6 of 18. Oscar's 2 of 8. So nobody's shot the three particularly well, other than Derek Simpson, who needs to shoot it more. And then there's the free throw shooting. Derek Simpson's been phenomenal, 21 of 23, 91%. Gavin Griffith's been up and down, 5 of 9. Andre's been great, 17 of 20. Cliff just 9 of 16, 56%. JaMichael Davis just 7 of 16, 43%. Wolf has had, a lot of attempts, 6 of 17. He struggled. Noah's 7 of 11, 64%. So they have to improve shooting. But if you look at concepts and how they're running the offense, how they're sharing the basketball, how they're scoring in transition, it's all really encouraging. Again, Pico's been preaching they're an 80-point team. They scored 85 tonight. He talked about in the post game how, he was happy that happened because they've been missing some shots. But this team can be a good offensive team. They're not going to be the most efficient shooting team there is. But I think as they play more together, they're going to continue to get better shot selection. And I think that the offense is going to get better and they're going to be more efficient. I think that obviously finishing from the foul line is going to be crucial, especially in Big Ten play and as the schedule ramps up soon. After St. Peter's, they have a 3-game stretch where we're going to learn a lot. Illinois at home, at Wake Forest, at Seton Hall. I can't tell if I reverse that, if it's Seton Hall first and then Wake Forest, but 3 monster games in a row. And they're at the point now, if they can beat St. Peter's, they'll be 5-1. You're avoiding the landmine losses. You're developing along the way. And then you have an opportunity, against those 3 teams. And Seton Hall, Wake Forest, and the metrics aren't going to be great. I mean, KenPom-wise, let's see where everybody's at. Rutgers jumped big time tonight. They moved from 72 to 64. 63 now, sorry. Highly efficient offensive night, very good defensive night. They're still just 143rd offensive efficiency. I think that's going to get better, a lot better. A lot better. I really do. They're 275th in 3-point shooting, 283rd in free throws, 2-pointers. They're 50.8%. Not terrible. 161st nationally. They got to get better there. They've given it up a lot in steals, which is not good. But let's see. Illinois, it's Illinois, then Wake, then Seton Hall. Illinois is 31 in KenPom's, Wake 70, and Seton Hall is 51. Rutgers right now is 63. Princeton's all the way up to 68. Tonight, Howard's now at 228. Bryant's at 216. Georgetown's at 178. So no great wins yet in terms of metrics, but three huge opportunities coming up. And if you can win two of those, uh, they're going to be fine. They still have a real shot to go 9-2 in non-conference play. Obviously, they could go 10-1, but you go 9-2 in non-conference play, you give yourself a real chance to make the NCAA tournament by winning those 10, 11, 12 Big Ten games. And I think this team could do it. The Big Ten's wide open. Uh, there's been some, Maryland has really struggled lately. They've lost three in a row. We know about, Michigan State losing to James Madison, who, by the way, is very good, and had beaten tonight's opponent, Howard, by a lot. So that was one. Who else has had some difficulties in Big Ten play or in the Big Ten so far? Um, Maybe no one else. Well, Indiana struggled at times. They haven't looked great. Minnesota was up on Missouri. Missouri's pretty good. I think they were second round team last year, and they couldn't close there. So the Big Ten's going to be wide open, and Rutgers is kind of developing this chemistry, and they have veteran leadership, and they have strong. I think they're going to have even stronger guard play, and for me, that's super encouraging in terms of that. The rotations, Pico's still working that out. Wolf was a little silent tonight, but they have different guys stepping up, and they have multiple contributors. They have to rebound better. They have to shoot better, but they're defending well. They're sharing the basketball well. They have a real strength in transition, and they have multiple guys that can create offense. So that's going to be a big plus for them as they get through the schedule. They're not going to just be reliant on shooting. They're not going to be just reliant on in terms of getting shots off of scheme. They're going to have creators that can have the ability to find open teammates and create shots for themselves, whether it be in transition, whether it be in the half court. And they haven't had that type of element in a long time. And to hear Pikel just focus on offense for a while, it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. Um, and I think they've been better defensively than expected. Obviously, they haven't played anyone great yet, other than Princeton. And even Princeton, they held to 68 points. What's Princeton scored since that game? Let's see. Because I think their Princeton's offensive efficiency, they're 48th nationally at 109.9. They put up 68 against Rutgers, 74 against Hofstra, 70 against Duquesne, 82 against Monmouth. They haven't played home yet. They have Old Dominion coming up, Northeastern. No great. They play St. Joe's on the road. But, the Ivy's looking really good. Columbia beat somebody today that was unexpected. They beat Temple. So that was impressive for them. The Ivy's a good league. But I think overall, for where this team is through 5 games, they've accomplished a lot. They're still getting healthy. They need Austin Williams back. They need Mag back. Just think about when those two guys are back, the rotation is going to be even stronger. They've just won these last 2 games, with essentially 8 scholarship players. They haven't played Chol really much at all. So, Oscar game, everybody in that 8, the last 2 games has given them quality run at some point in the last 2 games. So that's encouraging too. There is balance. There is more depth. When you get Mag and Austin Williams back, Noah Fernandez is still working off the rust. And he's, the last 2 games were super encouraging with him. Simpson's still emerging and growing into his role. Gavin's still learning. Cliff is, I think, trying to figure things out in terms of how to play with these new guards. There's a lot going on. And again, if you can continue to win while you develop, that's the benefit. And there's upsets every night in college basketball. And this was a team that Howard was no joke, and they certainly challenged Rutgers. And listen, people get upset because it's close, and they should be running them out of the gym. But there is value in being pushed by Howard and then blowing the doors off. It was 49-45, 13 minutes ago. They were challenged, and guess what? They responded really well. So I think that's a major plus and something to think about as you're sweating this out a little bit. And so I saw a comment like Rutgers always starts slow. They're winning. They're winning, right? And 2 years ago was maddening when they lost those 3 games, and there were some reasons for that. And they eventually woke up and they got to the NCAA tournament. But this team, there's reasons for this too, in terms of just gelling and learning how to play together and establishing rotations, learning each other's strengths. Until the lights come on, you don't truly know. And the rack was fantastic tonight to see, the crowd that was there for Howard on a Saturday night was really impressive. I have a whole episode I'm ready to do on the rack with the survey. I want to dedicate some time to it. I just want to have the right time to do that. It's coming up. I'll do that in the next few days. But tonight was just a value game, right? In terms of the rack, in terms of what it can bring to the table. The crowd was fantastic. And this team is exciting. This team's exciting. They're not, going to be a top 2, 3 Big Ten team. They're not going to challenge for the Big Ten title, but they're gonna be in some games and they're gonna win some games. And they are truly a team I think that's gonna get better as the season goes on. So that's my thoughts and reaction to the Howard win and to through 5 games so far. Thanks for listening and watching once again here at the Scarlet Faithful.